Hi there, I'm Ella, and I would like to ask you a couple of questions regarding your art and you. So I would like to start with these two found object pieces from Mbali Art Book 3, and they're called Work Sculpture 2 and Work Sculpture 3, and I would like to know a bit about the idea you had for these.
My theme was more about, the rudimentary things that people do. Find garden boys, you find people who are doing gardening and all that. And, when I found these pieces, I thought they would make sort of a statement about work.
So they look to me like sort of human-like figures, and I would like to know if you found the objects and then they suggested human-like figures, or if you thought of what you wanted to do before finding the objects.
When I look around, I find pieces, and at times I just collect, out of the liking old pieces. But as I sit around, I start sketching with them, and then try to keep them as raw as they are, and try to get them to make a statement without adjusting them. This is an old rake, which was old and rusted, and this is one of the old beds,
Oh, I can see that.
Yes, and this is something from a hoe.
I would love to know where you found these raw materials.
I move around and get some of the pieces from, second-hand shops, and in most cases, as you are working here in the, in the studios, people tend to see that you like such things, and somebody has got one of those things, and then you'll find it here at the door and say, "Oh, I saw this and I thought of you." So some of the pieces are efforts of other people, bringing in pieces and me using them to make an artwork.
I love that.
Yeah.
I would like to move on to Mbali Book 6, which you have some of your artworks inside of. And you were a student at Rorke's Art and Craft Center in 1978 and 1979. I would love to know what it was like at that center and what it was like being a student there.
I find it to be a very interesting place because the student body were very few students there. There are about, I think, about 10 first years and 10 second years. So as a student, you had to interact with the community because the community was working there. So you could learn a little bit of skills from tapestry, from doing wool for tapestry. You could do a little bit of pottery. You could do a little bit of fabric printing.
So in the Mbali art books, we have 3 images with Rorke's Drift in the title. Firstly, there is Defense of Rorke's Drift by de Nouvelle, and he was sent by the English Fine Arts Society to depict the battle, although the English had more advanced ammunition and guns, and therefore won this battle. Exactly 100 years after this battle, in 1979, you created a lino cut entitled Encounter at Rorke's Drift. What inspired you to create this work so many years after the battle?
As we were students there, we used to do some works, and then the space was partly funded by the Institute of Race Relations. With this lino, it so happened that when I was there, it was the centenary of the Battle of Rorke's Drift, and we were tasked to do something to celebrate the Battle of Rorke's Drift, whichever side you were in. So I chose to do that one. The lino that I did was when they were crossing Umzinyati. Umzinyati is Buffalo River. They call it Buffalo River. Umzinyati is a buffalo. Nyati. So they were crossing Buffalo River to the rocks. They were actually running away, and many of them were stabbed with assegais, and and that's I think that's one of their losses.
I'm interested to know what you're working on now and what's influencing you.
I would say profound influence is more about Johannesburg. It's a place that I've lived in for more than 60 years. So it's actually ingrained in me. And what I've been doing is like observing the changes. So there's a new struggle about reparations, and trying to make people positive about the country and see light at the end of the tunnel and never think that, oh, now this is the end and all. This draws me back to the question that Ella was asking about how Johannesburg influences my work. So most of the things that I use in my work, some of them I find them in streets, and that piece in particular was that was a piece of a spring which has been crushed by a car, a bed spring. And then as I always pick them up and I put them around and look at them and see what I can make of that piece, for me it resonated a bicycle.
So, how do you deal with creative blocks or periods of low inspiration?
At times I sit around here and put up the paintings and try to draw inspiration from them. But the fortunate part of being in a collective is that there are always more than two eyes to the work. Neighbors and other people, they see with different eyes and views, and then we share and discuss and we talk about the work. And, it generates a new way of seeing the work itself and inspires a new sort of vision of work.
I love how you use your old artworks as inspiration for new ones. And for a last question, I would like to ask you what advice you have for aspiring artists who are trying to develop their own voice and style through art.
I would say, like art, like any other field, you practice, and it's always nice to do something that you love, and then you pursue it, and that's it. And go to exhibitions quite a lot, interact with people, because you cannot develop if you are an island.
Isolated.
Yeah, if you are very isolated and all that. So you borrow ideas, take a simple thing like a language. As you meet people and you get to social spaces, a new type of language develops. You hear new words, you hear what's on, what's off, what's trending, as you say, yeah. And you're in the space,
I love that advice. Thank you for joining us.